Hello, all my Be in Demand listeners. Are you an entrepreneur in a corporate environment? And what I mean by that is, in case you've never heard that phrase before, are you working for somebody? Do you work for a corporation, whether it's a small one or an even large Fortune 500 one? You are going to love this mini series that we are about to embark on. So let's get on to the show. So you might be an employee within an organization. But one of the things that I know from my days as a leadership and executive coach is that the more that you can speak and communicate effectively, the more you're going to get promoted. This is just something that just seems to happen. And it's like the higher you go in an organization, the more you actually do have to use public speaking skills. You have to speak more at meetings, in your department, the departments that you run, when you're hiring people. I mean, like the list just goes on. And it can also depend on what department you are in as well as to how much internal and external speaking you are doing. So if you're an entrepreneur, because I know I attract a lot of entrepreneurs, but I wanted to answer some questions that people have been asking me because I also do work with corporate. People have been asking me a lot of questions like, yeah, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't work for myself. I'm not a coach. I'm not a consultant. But you might be an entrepreneur who's working in a corporate environment. So I'm going to actually share with you, and this is going to be a mini series, a few episodes that are just going to like put all this together. So this is going to be like a little bit of an introduction to where in an organization you might actually be using a lot of speaking, where you might actually decide, I've been passed over for promotions. And that's usually a sign of somebody who is avoiding public speaking. I have had clients who left their corporate job because they were being forced to actually do some public speaking. And that's what pulled them out and they started their own business. It was a great path for them, but there is this avoidance for public speaking because we are afraid of being judged. What if I don't say something that's correct? What if I offend somebody? What if I stumble on my words? What will people think? And I'm thinking back to my days where I was in healthcare and then I moved over to the medical device side, more on the sales side and / customer service. What I did was I did ultrasound applications. So I would help the salesman sell the equipment. But then after we sold the equipment, I would go in and customize the equipment. And I also had to speak at trade shows. I also did CME programs for hospitals. So there was a lot of public speaking. And if you remember my story, I'm a reformed, painfully shy girl. So I had to learn to speak to groups of people, to feel a lot more comfortable speaking with more than just the one person that I knew, so that I could move up in my career. I mean, had I not started learning public speaking skills, which came from my fitness classes that I would teach after work, that actually did help me. There are so many different ways that you are probably already using public speaking that you're not even giving yourself credit for. But I just want you to just think about, where are you avoiding public speaking? Where are you avoiding that one-on-one communication with people? Where are you, if you are, avoiding networking situations? Like maybe when you go to a conference, you sit in the same place, you sit with people you have lunch with people because there's that safety. But what if you decided to sit someplace different? What if you started getting in the habit of extending your hand and saying, "Hi, I'm such and such. It's nice to meet you. What brings you to this conference?" I mean, you literally can start very small. So speaking and communication skills, everybody needs them. Everybody. And we can all tell the people who are avoiding them. So speaking is the fastest way to grow your business. But in this particular mini series, I'm going to start telling you that speaking is the fastest way to excel in your career. It's the fastest way to get promoted. It is the fastest way to build your personal brand. And as Warren Buffett said, if you learn public speaking skills, you will increase your value by 50%. Now, that's just your value. We're not talking about your paycheck. Your paycheck could be exponential. I mean, the sky is literally the limit. But public speaking skills will get you noticed, will get people remembering you. Almost the same thing as I teach in my in-demand signature speech program. You want a speech that is compelling, captivating, and converting so that your audience, or in this case, other people that are meeting you, they're saying wonderful things about you. They're raving about you. They're remembering you. And they're also talking about you. They're referring you to others. So it's a fabulous way to get comfortable with also networking, which is how you are going to excel in your career. So I'm really going to be bringing a lot of what I used to work with clients in my leadership and executive days, and what I'm doing today when in helping people write and deliver amazing presentations to use as their best form of marketing. So I want you to look at public speaking skills as your best form of marketing for your career. So let's just talk about that very first time that you step into a company. It's for that job interview. You might have met somebody previously, but let's just hypothetically say this is your very first time stepping into this company, and first impressions matter. Making that eye contact with HR, shaking their hand, having your phone silenced, if not off, in your bag, in your coat pocket, being able to answer the questions thoughtfully that they are, like all those wonderful interview questions. And most of those interview questions, it's not about you having the right answer. It really is about how you answer the question. A couple of questions that I can remember being asked in interviews is, when did you go above and beyond the call of duty? And I just repeated the question to her and I looked stumped. And I was like, wow, God, I'm trying to think of a time when I didn't, because I have a personal philosophy of, and I explained to her. And so again, it wasn't about the right answer, but it was about how I answered the question. And I think another question that I heard a client actually share with me was like, how do you make a tuna fish sandwich? Like, that's just one of those questions that's just going to I thought they were going to ask me about my strengths and my weaknesses. Now we're talking about tuna fish sandwiches. But it's about how you handle something that is being thrown at you that you weren't expecting. And that's just, let's test this person. Let's see what they do. Let's see how they react, where it's just an interview question. So the more that you can be relaxed in the moment, and here comes I'm just going to insert quickly, meditation is very powerful. Meditation actually, I'm just going to get a little nerdy on you. What meditation does is it teaches the brain just to kind of slow down, calm down. And when we were able to slow and calm down, what happens is you actually form more blood vessels in the prefrontal cortex, which, if you're just listening to this and you can't see me right now on YouTube, it is the part of your brain that is right behind your forehead. That's your prefrontal cortex. That's the executive center of your brain where you're making decisions. And the blood flow gets there via a little section of your brain that basically is trying to figure out, should I be scared? Should I be running? Should I be okay with the situation? That's your fight or flight section of your brain. And so if you feel threatened, so hence how would you make a tuna fish sandwich? If it's something that you weren't expecting, that could shut down the blood flow to your prefrontal cortex. And you could look like the deer in the headlight looks, because it's not what you were expecting. So human resource learns a lot from the way that you answer this question. So meditation is very, very powerful. Meditation is also very powerful to help you in public speaking scenarios and even networking, sales presentations, interviewing, giving presentations within an organization. There's just so many different places. So beyond the meditation, because hopefully you're actually doing some of this, let's just talk about other areas where public speaking is really going to, some of the benefits, some of the value that you're going to be able to get by learning public speaking skills. Because it's not just about you giving speeches, it's also about communicating with confidence. engaging with others, like during a networking event, or that you're meeting at a conference, or some sort of internal or even external training that is happening, and let's talk about networking a little bit more. Have you ever noticed, like, you walk into a networking event or even the networking section, the networking time at a conference or a meeting, and you'll see a lot of people like pulling out their phones and looking down at their phone and looking busy. And I'm sure that they actually are, answering some urgent text messages or urgent emails that need to be taken care of. But look at your own behavior. Are you looking down at your phone because you're just like, I don't know anybody here? I want to look busy. A lot of times, like at these networking events, you'll see people either going to the bathroom at the bar or pulling out their phones or at the food table. But it's just like these are like solo activities. So let's get comfortable with being with other people, making eye contact, extending our hand, saying, Hi, I am, and just being the person who extends their hand first and doesn't wait for somebody else to actually like introduce themselves to you first. Why don't you be that first person? Engaging in conversation with other people, learning how to communicate. Like just set aside that fear of what if I stumble on my words? What if I say something that's stupid? Well, guess what? I'm going to go back to my moving forward by looking in the rearview mirror. We learn so much about ourselves when we can I wish I hadn't said that, but the next time, this is how I'm going to answer that question. Oh, that was a great question. And I didn't even answer it. And again, looking back in order to move forward because that question, that situation, I guarantee you it'll show up again somehow, somewhere in the future. These events are also a great time for you to project that positive image. Leave people with a great impression of who you are and what it's like to be around you and want to, like the next time they see you at an industry meeting or an internal training, that they come over and like, hey, how are you? And you start building that relationship with people. Now, there are some departments that are within your organization that have a lot of public speaking, and there's some different roles that really do need public speaking skills. And so here's just a short list. This is not a complete list. Your sales department. Your sales department is in front of current customers, in front of prospects. If they are at a trade show, they're in the exhibit hall. People are coming by. Strangers are coming by that you have to like say hi and make them feel welcome to come into your booth. You're also probably answering a lot of questions from customers, prospects, people that might be interested, that might not be interested quite yet in your product or service. Internal and external training departments, whether you are like HR training people, like when you think of like you just came on with a new company and it's that employee orientation that everybody just loves. But what if you were HR and you made it really engaging? It was just like, I am going to, like, this is your intention, is to make your training the most engaging training, that orientation that this person has ever attended. What if that was your goal? Because remember, these people like, hey, they're new in the company. Let's just raise the bar on orientation. You might be in project management, and there's lots of meetings that you have to speak at or present to other departments. Department heads, the higher you go in an organization, the more you're going to be required to speak at meetings, at board meetings, to your own department. If you're in leadership, communication skills, public speaking skills, really being able to effectively share the mission, share the good news along with sharing the bad news and getting people on board with the mission or the plan of moving forward. As you can see, there are so many different areas that public speaking is needed within an organization, which is why I've been brought into corporations to actually speak, to actually do trainings on public speaking. Because part of what I do is I teach people like, We don't have to start from the very beginning, but let me give you some tips and ideas that will give you the biggest bang for your buck. And this is why my private clients actually, the first time that they get up there and they're presenting, they feel like they've got 5 years of experience because I've given them some of the most important, impressionable tips that they can implement and start using right away. So again, this is going to be a mini series that I'm going to be sharing with you lots of different ideas on how you can be using and thinking about public speaking skills within your organization. This is how you can get promoted, get a raise, maybe move companies, network differently, say yes to presenting at meetings or industry meetings. Be that person. This is how you're going to get known because speaking is the fastest way to excel in your career, and speaking is the fastest way to build your personal brand. So, till next time, I want you to be in demand and be on the lookout for the second part of this corporate speaking miniseries. Are you ready to meet other entrepreneurs, whether they are online entrepreneurs or corporate environment entrepreneurs? I am hosting a mini training followed by a Q&A and some networking. You'll get to learn and also get the answers to your questions on the topic of the day and network with others. I want you to come join me for the kickoff meeting of this community call, which is on May 20th. You can still sign up. There are still some seats left because this is limited to 10 people. You can sign up at speakandstandout.com/community. And if the May date doesn't work for you, there's a June date that's already available for you to sign up for. So I will see you on that community call.